Waking up at 5 a.m., having a morning routine, and caring about my sleep helped me the most so far to keep my mind and body healthy. Ever since I started doing these things, I just felt overall better, started getting in better shape, started feeling healthier, and overall my life started improving. Prioritizing my sleep was one of the best decisions that I made, and I'm being serious. Everything started when I read the book The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And if you want to save some time, just go and read the book. It's truly a great book. I really enjoyed it. It has some very valuable lessons in it. So I highly recommend it. And after I read it, I started waking up at 5 a.m. and doing some of the things mentioned in the book, which I will be talking about later in the video. But I remember the first few days and weeks when I started doing this 5 a.m. morning routine and everything. It was really hard. Like I had to put 3 or 4 alarms just to wake up. And even then it was awful getting out of bed because I was used to waking up at around 9. So switching to 5 was not easy. But now after like 4 months of implementing this, I almost wake up naturally at about 5 or 5 to 15. That's when I usually wake up. I do still set an alarm, but even sometimes I even wake up before the alarm, but I don't feel like shit when waking up, so my body really gotten used to waking up at that early hour. So I realized that there is something special about waking up before the sun. You wake up feeling like this day is going to be yours, nothing can stop you, and you feel like you got this. And even if your day turns out to be bad or something unexpected happens, you know that you woke up at 5 a.m., you sticked to what you did what you told yourself that you're going to do, that waking up at 5 a.m. and doing those routines that you set yourself to do. And that knowledge that you did those things every day, and no matter how that day is going to go, you already did those. So, this is why I encourage you to try it out. It really helped me a lot, and I'm sure that it will help you too. There's no reason that it shouldn't. How you start your day determines the quality of the rest of your day. First, I'm going to be giving you some tips, what I learned so far, and then I'm going to tell you the exact things that I do when I wake up. So here are my tips for waking up earlier. The first thing is that make sure that you have in mind the time that you want to wake up and the time that you want to go to sleep. For example, I want to wake up at around 5 or 5:10. So I go to sleep at 9 so that I get enough sleep. Now, I experimented with this and I found out that about 7.5 hours is enough sleep for me, maybe a little bit more. But at around that time I get enough sleep. But it might be completely different for you. You might need 8 hours of sleep, or even more, or you might even need only 7 hours of sleep. So this is why you need this. So that you have to experiment yourself with this about how many hours of sleep you actually need. You can choose whatever time you want to wake up at or go to sleep at. I suggest 5 a.m. and make sure that you get enough quality sleep. So know when you're going to go to bed and when you're going to wake up. The second tip is trying to wake up and go to sleep at the same time. For me, as I've already mentioned, it's at 9 a.m. I go to sleep at 9 and I wake up at 5 a.m. This is also important because we have inside all of us this kind of internal clock that knows when we're going to go to sleep. So if we are going to go to sleep at 9 a.m., the next day you go to sleep at 11, and the next day you go to sleep at 12, and then 8. It's going to mess up that internal clock. So this is also why waking up and going to sleep at the same time is important. And also because overall your sleep is very important. So it's important that you get enough sleep every night. Now, of course, there's going to be nights that where you're not going to be able to make it. Like some of the most memorable things in life are late in the night, but I suggest that you try to keep like 95% of the days, try to stick to that time that you set up for yourself, because your sleep is super important. Like if you, I also experienced this myself, that if I had a good sleep, I feel great, I'm ready for the day, I'm energized. But if I didn't sleep enough or didn't get a quality sleep, I feel just bad, and I just don't want to get through that day. Like I just want it to end. So that is why also sleep is very, very important, and it should be your number one priority. It should be your non-negotiable. Like you don't trade something else for your sleep. Third tip is that you push through and not give up in the first few weeks. It's going to be hard switching to a new schedule, waking up at a whole different hour, because your body still needs to get used to it. But for me, like after about 1 or 2 months, I started waking up somewhat naturally at about 5 a.m. So it's about there, 1 or 2 months, and that habit is going to be there. You won't even have to think about waking up at that time because your body is now that used to it. So this is the goal, to make it a habit so that it comes naturally to you. And there's a great quote from the book that remember that all change is hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end. So this is why you have to push through those first few days and weeks. Tip number 4 is try not to miss too many days in a row. Let me give you an example. Uh, I have this exam coming up, and I started doing mathematics tests every morning. I did one test every morning, and I kept it up for quite some time. But at some time, like for whatever reason, I stopped doing them for like 1 or 2 days. I skipped 1 or 2 days, or maybe 3 days, and after that, I fell out for a whole week. I didn't do math tests, and this was because I lost this momentum that I had. This is this thing is true for waking up too. You need this momentum to keep going. So if you miss too many days in a row, it's going to be way harder to get back into that habit, to get back to waking up at 5 a.m., to get back to doing the math test or whatever it may be for you. You need that momentum. Tip number 5 is actually, I think, is an important one, is that you should try to expose your eyes in the waking hours to bright light, ideally sunlight. Andrew Huberman talks about this in his podcast. If you don't know him, he's a very great guy. He has a podcast on YouTube, and I don't know if he has on other platform, but he makes videos about mostly biology, and he translates these very hard to understand biological and scientific studies, and he translates it so that average people can understand it and learn from it. It's a great podcast. I learned a lot from it, so I highly recommend that you check that out too. You can learn a lot from that. And he talked there about how important it is to get sunlight or bright light, but sunlight is the best, in your eyes in the waking hours. I don't know honestly why this is so important, but for more information, you can check out Andrew Huberman's podcast. It will be in the link in the description below. And tip number 6, the final tip, is that even when you fail, even when things don't go the way that you expected them to go, even when you don't wake up at 5 a.m. or you didn't do that thing that you were supposed to do, that you don't go very hard on yourself. You shouldn't label yourself because this one mistake, saying things such like, I can't do this, like, I'm a failure, or I'm just not good enough for this. Because your words are very powerful and what you think about yourself. So I suggest that when these things happen, you treat yourself with love and honesty. Because you gotta be honest with yourself. You cannot lie that we were lazy all day. You cannot say that, oh, it's okay. No, you were lazy all day. But don't blame yourself and hate yourself. You still gotta have love for yourself, because before anyone can and should love you, you should love yourself first. Now I'm going to talk about my morning routine and the exact things I do when I wake up, and the things that I suggest that you also do when waking up. The first thing that I do is drink water. Like, staying hydrated and drinking enough water is very important, especially when you have slept for 7 to 8 hours. So that's the first thing that I do, is drink some nice water. Next, I have this. Let me show you. I have this little notebook, and in it I write down the some of the things that I am grateful about. Let me show you. Like, here are some of the things wrote down. Write them down in a list, and yeah, if you're not grateful for the things that you have now, I don't think that you're going to be really appreciate the other things that are going to come your way. I also noticed that starting off my day this way, expressing gratitude, really sets the tone for the rest of the day and makes me appreciate all the beautiful things that are in my life. The rest of my routine can be categorized into 3 parts, and I think that your routine should include some variation of this. It's called the 20-20-20 formula, and it's from the book The 5 a.m. Club. You can see it here. You can take a picture of it, but I'm also going to put up a picture of it somewhere here. And as you can see, it has 3 parts. First, the move. There's exercise, then reflect, then grow. This is the third part, that is learning. So let's focus now on the first bucket, that is a move. Right after I drank my water, I written down the things that I am grateful for. I put on my clothes and I go running. I don't actually like running because most of the time I'm finished with running, I feel like throwing up, so I don't like it, but that's the point. It's about doing something that you don't like, being uncomfortable, doing something that sucks, because that's how you're going to grow. You're not going to improve by watching YouTube all day or watching all this self-improvement content and then not doing anything. It's like watching a bunch of videos about how you should exercise and about the gym and everything, and then not exercising. It's pointless. So getting off the couch and actually doing something is what's going to move you forward. Start thinking of the best plan that you have and start doing that plan. That plan is going to change along the way because you are going to change along the way, but it's better than nothing. You gotta start somewhere. You just gotta put down that phone, that all that overstimulation, all those little dopamine hits from those short videos. You gotta start. This is what I learned, that it's way better to live a disciplined life, to sacrifice the short term pleasures for long term success. I think this is one of the key things. that you always think in the long term. Have some respect for yourself and take responsibility of your life, because no one else will do it for you. Now, going back to exercising, when I'm not running, I'm either doing some simple exercises in my room, or uh, we have this punching bag and I just go all out on it. That's the other thing that I do. But whatever you do, the point is that you move your body and that you sweat. Even if you don't want to have a muscular body, and that is not what you aspire to be, exercising is essential to the functioning of your mind and body. Like, if you exercise, you're going to outlive the guy that doesn't exercise. You cannot have a healthy mind without a healthy body. So that I think that this is one of the most important things that are in my routine, and I suggest that you should implement this into your routine too. An extra thing that you can do after exercising is taking a cold shower or a cold plunge. Now, there are lots and lots of benefits to cold exposure, like better sleep, better blood flow, more energy, better mood, increased mental toughness, or reducing inflammations. It has a lot and lot of benefits. It's like a cheat code. You can also do your own research, and I also made a whole separate video about cold exposure, but I recommend watching Andrew Huberman's podcast. Great guy. It will be in the description below. I also highly recommend checking out that video. The next part is reflection. After I have done my exercise, taken a cold shower, I usually either do some breath work. There's this breath work called the Wim Hof method by the guy Wim Hof. He's a great guy. I love him. He does some crazy stuff in some very cold water. He goes into very cold water. He climbs mountains in shorts, like mountains where there's snow and it's freezing. He climbs them in shorts. He's a crazy guy. I really suggest that you check him out. So his breathing is basically you do 30 deep breaths fully in your belly, up your lungs to your head, fully in and just letting it go. You do this 30 times, then you push out some, not all the air in your lungs, but you push out the air in your lungs and you hold your breath on an empty lung. And you hold it until you feel like you need to breathe again, and then you take a deep breath, and then you hold again for like 30 seconds. And you do this 3 times. This is one round, so you can do 2 or 3 rounds, how much you like. Or when I don't do the breath work, I do about 30 minutes of meditation where I focus on my breathing and the things around me. This, which I think has also been very helpful for me so far. It helps a lot in staying mindful and being more in the present, in the eternal now. Now, other things that you could do here are you can pray, or you can journal here, or take a walk even, or just think about things, because this is what this time is supposed to be allocated to some deep thinking, some introspection, or or you can also write down the things that you're going to do that day, plan your day, or things like this. Now, the final part of the morning routine is learning. After all that has been done, I make a nice cup of coffee and read. I really like reading and learning through reading. Like, the smell of books, there's nothing like that. Uh, but you can also listen to podcasts or watch videos, talk to someone more experienced than you who can teach you something. The point is that you learn something new in this period. You can also do some research about the specific problems that you're facing, because someone has probably already gone through that problem or a similar problem and written a book about it. So that's also a good idea. I think that it's very important that we try to always learn something new to better ourselves, and also not just learning but unlearning, to question the things that we think are so true, not being so stuck in one framework and not letting go of the things that we hold for true. So I think that that is also very important, that we keep an open mind. I think that if you do these three things consistently, you're going to be feeling a lot better, and you're going to be improving from day to day, little by little, consistently, because it has worked for me. I really love this routine, and I really do think that like the first things that everyone should do, and well, maybe not, but it still is very important that you have a morning routine. In my opinion, I really like it so far. So I really hope that this video was helpful for you and I could give some value to you. And I really appreciate if you would subscribe or like the video. That would really help me out. And yeah, I hope that this is helpful for you. Have a great day.